Like you got to find a general partner that's working on assets that you feel comfortable with, working in an MSA or working in a certain city that you agree with. The economy is good, right? There is a level of learning when it comes to being a limited partner. You have to understand the deal. You have to be able to underwrite a little bit yourself, right? Is the deal actually gonna give you the promised 15% that the general partnership is providing?
Welcome to the How to Scale Commercial Real Estate Show. Whether you are an active or passive investor, we'll teach you how to scale your real estate investing business into something big.
Flint Jamison spent 20 years in aerospace as an engineer and program manager, and he is now finding a path to early retirement through commercial real estate investments. Fun fact about Flint, he and his wife visited all 7 continents before they had children, which is awesome. Well done. That's fantastic. Flint, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Hey, man, the pleasure's mine. Same 3 questions I ask every guest who comes on the show in 90 seconds or less. Can you tell us, where did you start? Where are you now? And how did you get there?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I've been in aerospace for almost 20 years, and I wanted passive income. This is where I got into real estate. So I jumped in, I bird up a duplex remotely. I'm in Denver. I did this place in Milwaukee. It wasn't a huge success, but it wasn't a failure either. I still own the place, and it's been cash flowing great. So I did not get the cash out refi on it. And then from there, I realized getting to passive income was going to take me a little too long with that path. So I actually came across a podcast with Michael Blanc talking about multifamily syndication. And from there, I was hooked. I digested all the information I could. I got into the online courses. And last August, me and some other newbie partners tried to take down a 23 unit outside of Denver. That one didn't happen. We can go into that later. But now I'm partnered with a very experienced group. I'm capital raising with them, and we're about ready to close on my first deal here in 2 weeks.
That's fantastic. It's interesting. Let's ask this question. Are you still in the aerospace industry, or?
I am. I have not freed myself from my W-2, so I'm doing this on mornings, evenings, and weekends.
Right. Yeah. And for those of you that don't know, Flint got up. We started this call at 7 a.m. Flint's time. So that's fantastic. Yeah. And that's part of the early grind, that this business requires. It certainly isn't a get rich quick business. Talk to us about you said that you started going in as an LP, or not a limited partner, but on the passive income side on a single family rental, but then you discovered early or pretty fast that this is not, it's not going to move the needle in the way I want it to. What were some of those discoveries along the way?
Yeah. So on the single family side, I just started running some numbers to figure out how many doors I needed to get to retirement. And I just picked up my first 2 doors. It was that duplex. And I was going to be accepting of 50 doors before I said, you know what, I'll be financially free. I'll step away from my W-2. Maybe I'll grow from there. But the path to get there I saw was going to be long and arduous. And I was just looking for a more efficient way to get there. And it turns out multifamily syndication is the way.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a tough. I mean, because you spent, I'm sure, a lot of time, researching single family properties, talking to brokers, talking to property management companies.
Yeah.
And you get the one, you're probably excited about it, and then you go, wait, this isn't what I thought it was going to be.
That's exactly it. Yeah. And so am I stuck with that market, or do I have to start over with a different market and find someone else and then start all over with property managers, construction companies, right? The whole bit.
Right. That's interesting. So then you said, all right, so passive income on that side isn't going to work out. What about a long-term goal? Is there a long-term goal of being just a strict LP?
Yeah, that is the goal. But I think for me, my first goal is to get financially free. And the quickest way is to do both, be an active syndicator and be an LP. So right now I'm actually an LP on 3 properties. So I know that flow as a limited partner, and then jumping in on the general partnership side where I can get some of the upside on the sale.
Yeah. So you went in as a limited partner. What were some of the things you discovered along the way? You said, man, I didn't know that, as I kind of, dug into this limited partnership journey?
Yeah, it was largely feeling out how the limited partner funnel works. Like you got to find a general partner that's working on assets that you feel comfortable with, working in an MSA or working in a certain city that you agree with. The economy is good, right? There is a level of learning when it comes to being a limited partner. You have to understand the deal. You have to be able to underwrite a little bit yourself, right? Is the deal actually gonna give you the promised 15% that the general partnership is providing?
Did you find anything along the way or deals along the way that you said, man, this didn't pass the smell test?
I've been really, as a limited partner, I was working with some of the really big, very successful groups. So for the most part, their deals were all really good. I have since watched some presentations with some other groups where they didn't quite give you all the details that I personally would like. They kind of just kept it at the 5,000 foot level, and we're talking to the limited partner base. And maybe their investors were very confident and return visitors to their deals, so they were confident. Me as a new investor to that group, they didn't instill confidence in me because they didn't tell me all the details I wanted. So that's really where I see it. I have not really come across a deal where I said, no, that's not going to make it.
You said they didn't give you all the details you wanted.
Yeah, I really want to know how they're going to convert the place as far as the renovations. They kept it at a high level. They said, "Yep, we're going to go renovate apartments, and we have a B class, and we're going to spruce it up." And they didn't get into the details of, okay, we got a property, we need to put a fence around it, we want to do fob access, we're going to put up security cameras, we're going to refresh the playground, we got a pool deck that we got to rehab, we're going to move the property management out of a unit and put in a mobile unit on the property, right? There's so many little details that comes into it. When they just keep it at a high level, like, yeah, we're going to refresh all the units and we're going to raise rents by 150 and then success, right? It didn't instill confidence. I wanted to know a lot of the details to understand that they really know what they're getting into.
Yeah, that's intriguing. And do you feel like you've taken that experience and then now you're raising for a 100-unit property that you're going in as a general partner on? Do you feel like you've taken that and said, okay, we're going to do this a little bit differently when I'm out raising capital?
Yeah, and you know what? I've really learned from this group that I'm partnering with, because they are experienced on this 100 unit. They do put out all that information, and to be honest, I was using what I just said was an example of what they say in their pitch. Like, let's get the property manager out of that unit that we can turn into another rentable unit where we may move in this mobile office on some spare space on the property, so we gain more rent.
Right. Yeah, those are small things that make a big difference. So if you're not following along, I think what you said was that on this 100-unit property, one of those units was used as an office.
Correct.
Oh wow. Yeah. So you can immediately get a 1% bump.
Yeah.
And potential rents. That's amazing. Okay.
Yeah, and some of the other things is just like, all right, we got some boilers that we have to replace. They're 30 years old, right? Get into the details. Tell me, because those are the gotchas when you get into doing big complexes. And I've even seen it on the LP side with some other big groups. They got in and they realized, holy cow, we have some water meters that all need to be replaced. There's some plumbing and valving system that we did not even see. But you know what? They had enough capital raised for that, just those issues that pop up that you don't see going in through inspections.
Right. Yeah. And that's, I mean, that's the situation that all of us as sponsors try to avoid. But you're in this business long enough, things are going to happen where you go, well, we just didn't see it. We just didn't see it. Doesn't matter how much due diligence we did. And to your point, raising extra capital is a great way to keep your investors happy, because even if that capital unfortunately is sitting in a bank account collecting dust, it still is able to be deployed when it comes time for those unexpected capital expenditures. So that's really intriguing. Talk to us a little bit about how you found this general partnership to work with. Did they approach you? Did you approach them? What was the conversation like? How did you guys work out duties and responsibilities, things like that?
Yeah, so this was a kind of a fun one. It was not planned. It was kind of serendipitous.
Hmm.
I ended up talking to one of these guys a year ago. To be honest, I don't remember the reason why we got on the phone and we chatted. But what I do remember is we talked for an hour and a half, and it was I think 10 o'clock my time, and we talked till 11:30.
At
We
night?
were at night.
Oh, geez.
I mean, sometimes we work long hours, right? But we
Yeah.
were geeking. When I got off that phone call, I was just pumped. I went and was talking to my wife, and she's like, "Calm down." And I was like, "No, I am way too excited." So, like 6 to 9 months later, we ran into each other at a conference, and we hit it off. I talked to him, his other partner, and then somewhere around November, they kind of opened up and said, "Hey, we want to bring in some co-sponsors to capital raise. You want in?" I said, "Absolutely, I want in." So that's kind of how it happened. And now we're doing my first deal. It's their 20 something deal, I think, but they've been killing it. So I'm kind of riding their coattails, and it's really exciting for me and my investors.
A 23 unit property. You said last August, right? So you're pumped. You've talked to a potential partner and you're like, hey, this is the way the deal's done. Now some time has elapsed, right? And you're going, hey, guns blazing. We got a 23 unit property. You put it under contract and then the deal falls apart. What happened?
Yeah. So this fell apart in so many different ways. I'll go through a few of the big hitters. One, our initial property manager we chose, they were smaller, but worked in the area quite heavily. They've turned a lot of single family homes and they were looking to grow. So when we walked them through 23 units, they're like, yeah, this is no big deal. Somewhere around 3 or 4 weeks in, they just ghosted us. I think they got scared. We have no idea why. We couldn't even contact them. I, I to this day don't know why they ghosted us. So we did a quick turn. We found someone, a large property manager that does very large properties and can turn a 23 unit in their sleep. They were willing to work with us, so that was cool. We recovered from that, but we, as a general partnership, were young. We did not have the investor base. So here's the mistake: when you build it, they will come. That doesn't work. That works for Field of Dreams, right?
Right.
It does not work in this world. And so we thought we had some, and then we could, if we had an apartment, we could get the rest. That didn't work. The sum that we thought we had weren't there, and then we definitely didn't get the rest. We reached out to some big capital raisers, and then they turned around and said, no, 23 units is too small. We love the 80 plus units for stability. We asked for an extension, but to be honest, this place was a heavy lift. I think that also worked against us. It was a C-class property, probably C minus. It was owned by a slumlord for the last 2 decades. Oh, wow. This place, I mean, there was a lady that was paying $850 for a single unit that didn't have a working kitchen. Her stove and her sink flat out didn't work, paying $850. Yeah. So the owner, as a slumlord, he didn't work with us very well. We asked for an extension to raise more capital, and he said, nah, and it just fell apart pretty quickly after that.
Yeah, that's just unfortunate the way that worked. But sometimes, I mean, that's okay. Especially if you get to learn the lessons early on without paying, a huge price to get into it. I mean, I'm assuming you guys had earnest money and things like that down. A lot of what we're seeing right now is earnest money's going hard on day one. Did you guys lose any money?
Yes, there was money lost because we did go hard. It was unfortunate. Yeah, and then all the inspection costs and stuff, all that was lost. However, so out of this is like failing forward, right? We always talk about we got kicked hard. Mm-hmm. We got kicked hard on that one, but we had to fail forward. The lessons learned, I immediately jumped on the capital raising. So right after that, actually, let me back up a little bit. They always call it the law of the first deal, or at least Michael Blanc calls it the law of the first deal. I feel like I got the law of the half deal because I went through all of that right? I did the underwriting. I didn't do the deal finding. My partner found the deal. We did underwriting. I was the only boots on the ground. So I was working with all the inspectors and the contractors. Underwriting, right? I did a ton of it. We failed on the capital raising ultimately. So I quickly turned around, and now I reimagined myself as a capital raiser. And that's what I've been focusing super hard on. And it actually worked out. Here I am now capital raising for some big partners.
Right. Right. Man, that's great. And yeah, that's one of the things, we always say there's two things that make this industry go around. It's deals and money. And every single person that's come on this show, they said the one thing that they would do differently, if they were to do something differently, would be to focus on raising capital first to get that investor base lined up. Yeah, you're right. The idea of build it, they will come is nonsense. Find a deal and the money will follow that's a bag of lies. So,
what's funny is the online course I took, they started out with capital raising. And in my head, I'm like, no, get me to the good stuff. How do I find a deal? How do I underwrite? How do I manage? Right? No, they start out with capital raising for a very specific reason. So those of you who are aspiring syndicators, capital raising, you have to start there.
And it seems so like you're not moving forward, right? Exactly. You get a deal under contract, man. We're slinging paper. We're meeting guys on site. We're doing inspections, crawling, doing water line. And I mean, all this stuff. You're like, oh yeah, frenetic activity. But can you close the deal? And when you're raising capital, it's slow growth. It's investor calls. It's putting out newsletters. It's this just you don't have that sense of accomplishment, and that's why it's so hard.
And it's hard because you don't have an asset to show them, right?
Right.
There's ways around it, right? You have to create these examples of what you could bring. It's an education too. That's actually part of the fun part about capital raising. You're bringing new people in, and they all need to be educated. People don't understand what this is.
Right. Man, you said it. I've loved it. Flint, thanks for the time today. Coming on the show. This has been a blast. Thanks for sharing your mistakes as well as your successes. Best of luck to you as you guys get this first 100 unit of yours under your belt. Let's jump into the final two questions here. The first one is this: when it comes to investing in the world, what's one thing you're doing right now to make the world a better place?
So there's two stages to this. One is when we buy apartments, we change the community around. So we are directly affecting the apartment community that we are investing in. And two, me personally, once I get more bandwidth and able to retire from my W-2, I really want to get into Engineers Without Borders. I'm an engineer at heart. I would love to travel around the world and help make people's lives better.
That's really cool. That's fantastic. Flint, if our listeners want to get in touch with you, learn more about you or your business, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, go to vestuscapital.com. That's VESTUS capital.com. You can find me on LinkedIn. I do have a free report on my website. It's the benefits and simplicity of investing in multifamily.
Fantastic. What's that website? Do you have a full link there for that? And we'll make sure we put that in the show notes.
Yeah, I do. It's longer. You'll just have to go to the link for that free report. But vestuscapital.com, you can find the free report from there.
We'll find it from there, and we'll make sure we put that in the show notes. Flint, thank you for your time today. I certainly do appreciate it.
Thank you.